Jay-Z.
What's up, niggas? Hey, yo, I know you ain't talking about me, dog. You?
So, bro. And I didn't know how to take it, bro. And Charnetta used it, and he said that's why you was an agent, because you said that you was responsible for all the controversy and beefs in the conscious community. Do you still stick to those words, my brother? Are you responsible for the conscious community beef?
First, I'll say this, because I can't talk in great detail about that, but that is edited audio that's done that is played out of context of me, so people don't get the full context. Because anybody can hear, you hear the audio, you hear it edited. But Lex, I will say this. You know that I've been saying stuff like that before. And you have even accused me of stuff like that before. Remember, again, the night when Sarnetta fell out with the light, you said, Sarnetta, you're letting Javen turn you against everybody and destroy the community. Remember, you made you said on another live stream before about how I was bringing peace and destruction to the conscious community and getting people to turn on each other. This is not nothing new. Like, Sarnetta's trying to make this seem like this is some magically new development. This is not new. People, I've been doing this for years. People know that. I've said it.
So you agree then? So it is true then? And you said so. I mean, is it true or not?
Yeah, it's true.
The following program is rated TVMA. Viewer discretion advised.
What people don't understand is my family comes from Trinidad, right? My dad's side. Trinidad had slavery ended in 1833. That is 200 years of freedom. That's a totally different mindset. That is not having Jim Crow. That's not having anybody trying to lynch you. That is being in a country where you're not black. You are just a person. That is a totally different mindset. My grandmother always talks to me about the fact that when she came here, she was like, wow, what's the deal with these black people? This is America opportunity. She said, but once you live here and you get to see the sort of the witchcraft that they do, your whole understanding about what it is to be black is totally different, right? So, when I look at all of this, and I'm trying to figure out, what you're doing with the whole reparations piece, like, when the reparations come to fruition, and I see this as a reality, what does that reparation, how is that going to be implemented? Do you see like organizations doing that? Do you see direct payment to individuals?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you. Do you see the what? I'm sorry, do I see the what? What'd you say?
Once reparations is a reality, how is that going to be given out to the people? Is it through organizations?
No, I mean,
direct payment?
Here's the thing. I've talked about before how reparations has to be a multi-pronged policy, and it has to be multi-generational. You can't just give checks out. Like, no, this is 400 years. One of the things that I've always said is that a wound takes longer to heal than it takes to cut. Right? That's something that I've always said. So, like this has to be a multi-generational reparations plan. I don't care whether you put in a trust fund. You also have to make us have credits available to go to college because the rough we don't have. There's a lot. We need lineage therapy. But see, the thing is, the first thing that we have to understand is that we don't know enough. It's kind of like what Antonio said. We have to let other people, like Derry and other people, decide like what that number looks like, and then we can decide how it's instituted. But one of the things that I'm not going to do is like when this country approves reparations, like then I will get in there and talk about how I think this should look. But if you haven't approved it, one of the things that I see happening is people trying to say, well, what is it going to be? So that they can hamstring it. No. I'm not doing that at all. I can talk to you about that and put in place what I think it should be after you pass some legislation forward. After this country shows me that it has a will to institute reparations, then I will get on the board and tell you what I think it should be. I've expressed some very firm ideas on this show, and I have some very firm ideas about what I think reparations should look like. But I'm not going to do that until this country has shown me a will for it, because I know this country will use that to be like, well, that ain't gonna work. No, this just means you don't give a damn.
Okay. So how do we, I'm just afraid it'll be another situation like when they had the Freedmen's Bill and somebody ran out with the money.
Well, no, like we're not talking about just a check. Like understanding what happened to us requires way more than a check. Like it requires so much more than like money. It requires credit. It requires like opportunity in terms of affirmative action that keeps that door in terms of just giving us money.
That nigga nice should be my rap name. If rap was bold, they say I hit that from that range. I love this shit. Should pay me not to fuck your bitch and get ugly when I'm on my shit. I don't feel like I'm done.
Very open-minded about the form of a reparations program. I tend to refer to what I call a reparations portfolio. That is to say, a component of a reparations program should include an apology and a check to individual African Americans who are eligible for the program. I'd be glad to talk about what the eligibility criteria might be. But I'm very open-minded about perhaps having a trust fund of some sort that could be set up for the purposes of enabling people to start business enterprises or to use the funds for educational opportunities. There could be some form of tax relief. There could be some institutions that are developed. For me, substantively, what matters is whether or not these kinds of initiatives would eliminate the huge economic disparities that exist between African Americans and the rest of the population of the United States.
There was a question, all right. So to redress, would it take the form of literally giving every Black American who can trace roots back to a period of time in which that harm was committed some financial compensation? The answer to that is, at least in part, that would be good. I mean, that would, in our system of individualism that exists today, some individual acknowledgement would at least, I think, is at least warranted. But it doesn't stop there. Nor should that be the only form of redress. I mean, in fact, if one thinks about the fact that Blacks don't own the means of production in the American society, you might have an unintended consequence if you compensated for the previous harms by simply giving everyone a check of a certain order. You actually could enhance inequality in an ironic way, because it would become a stimulus, and it would become a stimulus that could disproportionately benefit those that own the means of production, thereby leading to even greater inequality. So you don't want that. I'm not of the group that argues that, well, if you gave Black people a check, they're simply going to go out and buy Cadillacs. I'm not of that pejorative yoke. But if Blacks wanted to buy Cadillacs, there's nothing wrong with that anyway. But my issue isn't that Blacks would be irresponsible if you gave them a check, but rather because they don't own the means of production, you could have that unintended consequence. So what else could you do? Well, you could include some redistribution or some government intervention so that a form of payment could literally be ownership and some stock ownership. So ownership and some corporate ownership, that could be one form of payment. I mean, there are other forms of payments as well. We could address the fact that HBCUs were not able to grow to the same extent that white universities were as a result of the GI Bill due to local housing discrimination and the ways in which the GI Bill was distributed. So HBCUs as an institution could receive some compensation to build them up. That's another way we could address reparations. We could think about a host of institutions that we could build directed towards building capacities amongst the Black community. So we could think about reparation distribution on an individual basis, and the form of payment can be both cash as well as other types of compensation, like stock ownership. But we could also think of community assets as a form of distribution. So we could think about a Marshall Plan for building Black institutions, so as a form of redistribution or reparation.